The winds of Viridian IX tore across the endless ice plains, bending even the strongest metallic structures of the human research outpost. The planet was beautiful in its own terrifying way, with jagged glaciers reaching high into a pale sky, their edges reflecting the cold sunlight in sharp, brilliant flashes. Captain Alara Drake tightened her jacket and adjusted the scanner on her arm as she surveyed the landscape from the observation deck of the research ship Artemis. Humanity had come far, colonizing planets once thought inhospitable, yet nothing prepared her for the lonely majesty of this world. Alara had led dozens of missions before, but this one felt different. Viridian IX was supposed to be simple, a routine mineral survey with a team of 6 humans, 3 scientists, and 2 engineers, along with her as the captain. They were here to collect rare ice-bound crystals that could power entire cities back on Earth. But her instincts, honed by years of command, told her that something unusual waited somewhere under this frozen world. The team moved slowly over the snow-covered terrain, their boots crunching with every step. Sensors beeped faintly from the pack on Dr. Camel's back. He was the xenobiologist, young but brilliant, and he kept muttering to himself as he adjusted the settings on his scanner. "Captain, you might want to see this," he said, his voice tight with excitement and a hint of fear. Alara strode over to him, her boots sinking slightly into the icy ground. The scanner's screen glowed with an anomaly, a pulsing energy signature that did not match any known geological pattern. It was faint but deliberate, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat trapped in the ice. "Could it be a natural phenomenon?" Alara asked, squinting at the readings. "Nothing I've ever seen," Camel replied. "This energy signature, it's biological. There's something alive under the ice, something intelligent maybe." His eyes sparkled with fascination. "We have to investigate." Alara's gut tightened. Protocol dictated caution. They were deep in uncharted territory, far from support, and she knew the risks of disturbing unknown life forms. But there was no denying the allure of discovery. She made a quick decision. "Gather the equipment. We're going in, but we move carefully. I don't want any mistakes." The team set up the drilling machinery, their breath forming clouds in the frozen air. Hours passed as they worked tirelessly, cutting through layers of ice that were older than any human history. The temperature dropped even further, and the wind howled like a living creature around them. Finally, the drill broke through the final layer, revealing a block of crystal-clear ice within which something small but unmistakably humanoid was encased. The team froze. Within the ice, a girl's form lay curled, her body glowing faintly with veins of blue and silver that pulsed like a slow heartbeat. She had long hair, almost transparent, flowing around her as if suspended in water. Her skin was pale, but there was a luminescence to it, an otherworldly shimmer that made every member of the crew stop and stare. "She's alive," Camel whispered, barely able to form the words. "I can feel it. Her body is in suspended animation, but she's breathing or something like it." Alara stepped closer, examining the ice. There was something about her presence that made the wind seem quieter, almost reverent. "We can't leave her here. We need to get her to the ship." The crew worked carefully, using heat lamps and portable thawing equipment to slowly melt the ice without harming the girl. Every inch of ice that disappeared revealed more of her delicate features. Small, almost human, but with subtle alien characteristics. Slightly elongated fingers, eyes that seemed too large for her face, and the faint glow of veins beneath her skin. As the ice around her shoulders began to melt, the girl made a small sound, a harmonic tone like a note from a musical instrument. The sound echoed in the cold air, soft but resonant. The team froze again, exchanging nervous glances. "She's communicating," Camel said, awe in his voice. "She's alive in a way we've never seen. We can't treat her like a specimen. We need to help her survive." Alara nodded, her mind racing. There was danger in keeping her here. The mining corporation that funded their mission would pay handsomely for any alien life form, and human law was murky when it came to unknown species. If the military learned about her, they could take her by force. But looking at her small, glowing form, Elara felt a surge of determination. Humanity had always thrived by protecting what was unknown and beautiful, by daring where others feared. And she would not let anyone harm this girl. The team worked through the night, melting the ice slowly and carefully. They built a makeshift life support pod aboard the Artemis, transferring her without breaking her fragile body. The girl's eyes opened as they lifted her, revealing deep, opalescent irises that seemed to shift colors with every movement. She looked around, and for a brief moment, it was as if she was studying each member of the crew, absorbing everything. She's aware, Camel whispered, his voice trembling. I've never seen anything like it. Her brain activity is unlike anything human. It's advanced, rapid but organized. Intelligent, certainly, and probably extremely curious. Elara felt a chill, not from the cold but from the weight of responsibility. They had discovered something extraordinary and the universe was watching. She turned to the crew. We're going to care for her no matter what. We protect her. That's our mission now. The girl stirred, letting out a series of harmonic tones. Camel quickly adjusted the pod's sensors, translating the vibrations into a pattern they could understand. It wasn't language in the human sense, but it carried meaning, emotions, urgency, curiosity. Slowly, they realized she was responding to them, trying to communicate. Over the next hours, as the Artemis moved away from the icy planet, the humans began forming a bond with her. They named her Lyra, after the constellation that symbolized music and harmony, inspired by the tones she produced. Lyra's presence seemed to awaken something in each of them, a sense of wonder, of duty, and of hope. She was small and fragile, but there was a strength in her that was undeniable. The first night aboard the ship was tense. Every creak and groan of the ship made the crew jump, fearing that something could go wrong. Lyra, however, seemed calm, her glowing veins dimming and pulsing in a steady rhythm. Camel monitored her vitals, amazed at how she adapted to the artificial environment of the pod. Her body responded to the life support system as if she understood it, regulating her own temperature and oxygen intake in harmony with the machine. Elara sat quietly in the command chair, watching her. Humanity had faced countless dangers, aliens, supernovas, rogue asteroids, but never had she encountered a life form that was both so vulnerable and so extraordinary. Saving Lyra wasn't just an act of compassion, it was a test of everything humans had ever believed about themselves. Could they protect life beyond their own species? Could they rise to the occasion when no one else would? The calm didn't last long. By morning, alarms went off. The corporate monitoring network had detected an unauthorized extraction from Veridian IX. Within hours, a fleet of unmanned drones and corporate patrol ships were en route, tracking the Artemis through the icy asteroid fields. The crew realized that keeping Lyra safe would not just be a challenge of science and medicine, it would be a test of courage and cunning. "We've been spotted," said Lieutenant Mara, the ship's security officer. "They'll catch up to us if we stay on a predictable course." "We need to disappear," Elara nodded. "We can't let them take her. Prepare the ship for evasive maneuvers, and everyone be ready. This is going to get difficult." Camel leaned over Lyra's pod, studying her as she hummed a soft, melodic tone. He felt an unexpected connection, a bridge between species that no one had ever seen before. "Captain, I think she understands the danger. I can't explain it scientifically yet, but she's aware of what's happening outside." Elara's eyes narrowed. "Then she's counting on us. We can't fail her." For the first time in the mission, the crew felt something that went beyond fear or duty. They felt purpose. Lyra's survival became their mission, and in her, they saw a reflection of humanity at its best, resilient, compassionate, and daring. As the Artemis navigated through the frozen void, the icy landscape of Veridian IX fading behind them, Alara allowed herself a small smile. The universe was wide and dangerous, but humans had a way of surprising even the stars. And if they could protect this small alien girl, perhaps they could show the galaxy that humanity was more than just a species. It was a force for life, for hope, and for the extraordinary. Lyra's eyes glimmered in the dim light of the pod, and for the first time she made a sound that resembled a word. Home. Alara felt a lump in her throat. Yes, Lyra, you're home now, and we'll keep you safe, no matter what. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent and cold. Inside, a small alien girl and 6 humans began a journey that would test their courage, their morality, and their ingenuity. In that moment, humanity showed what it could be, not conquerors, not exploiters, but guardians. And in the quiet hum of the Artemis, the first notes of a bond that could change the universe began to play. The Artemis drifted silently through the dark expanse of space, the icy remnants of Veridian IX shrinking behind them. Outside, the stars sparkled like scattered diamonds, indifferent to the small ship carrying humanity's most precious secret. Inside, the atmosphere was tense, but filled with quiet curiosity. Lyra, the alien girl, had begun to adjust to her new surroundings, though every sound, every movement seemed to absorb her attention. Dr. Camel sat beside her pod, running continuous diagnostics. The soft hum of the life support system matched the rhythmic glow of Lyra's veins. She's stabilizing faster than I expected, he said quietly. Her metabolism, her biological rhythms, they're adapting to our environment almost as if she's learning from it. Alara leaned on the railing of the observation deck, arms crossed. Learning is one thing. Understanding is another. If she's intelligent, she might also understand how much danger she's in. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp. And if the corporate fleet catches up, we're all in danger. Camel nodded. She's already aware, Captain, I've seen it. She reacts to threats before they become immediate. I can't explain it biologically, but her responses are anticipatory. The first sign of it came that evening. A sudden vibration ran through the ship, a low, resonant hum that seemed to follow Lyra wherever she moved. Lights flickered, and the ship's computer issued a minor alert. A distant corporate surveillance drone had locked onto their trajectory. Before anyone could react, Lyra reached out a small, glowing hand, and the hum intensified. The flickering lights steadied and the computer reports normalized. Did she just stabilize the ship? Mara asked, eyes wide. Alara's jaw tightened. Looks like it. I don't know how, but she did. That's all the proof we need. She's more than fragile. She's extraordinary. For the next several days, the crew worked to understand Lyra, but every attempt to communicate conventionally failed. She did not speak in any human language, yet her musical tones and glowing veins conveyed emotions. Joy, fear, curiosity, and caution, all were visible and audible in a way humans could interpret if they paid attention. Camel developed a method to translate the vibrations into visual patterns, a series of pulsing lights that slowly formed basic ideas. Lyra responded eagerly, tilting her head, creating harmonies and sequences that were increasingly complex. Soon, she was responding to simple questions, showing comprehension and even making suggestions about her own care. She's trying to teach us her language, Camel said one night, his eyes glowing with excitement. Not the other way around. She's brilliant, Captain. Every interaction is a learning opportunity for her. Alara watched silently. She was aware of something deeper than science unfolding before her. Humanity had always thrived in the unknown, but this was unprecedented. They were not just exploring space. They were engaging in a dialogue with life that was smarter, faster, and potentially far older than themselves. Tensions on the ship were growing, though, and not just because of Lyra. The corporate fleet was closing in faster than expected. Using stealth technology, they were trying to intercept the Artemis. If caught, Lyra would be taken, studied, or worse. The humans faced a moral and strategic dilemma: fight, hide, or escape. Alara convened the crew in the main chamber. "We have a choice," she said. "We can try to outrun them, but they have resources far beyond ours. We can try to hide, but they can track us. Or we can do something unprecedented. We can use her abilities. If she can stabilize the ship once, maybe she can help us evade them entirely." Mara looked uneasy. "You mean putting a child at risk?" "She's not a child," Alara said firmly. "Not in the way we think. She's aware, intelligent, and capable. She is not fragile, and she is already helping us. We either trust her or we fail." Lyra, as if understanding the conversation, extended a small hand toward the console. Her glowing veins intensified, and the ship shivered slightly as the Artemis veered sharply, slipping out of the predicted path of the corporate fleet. The humans watched in astonishment. The ship's sensors showed the fleet struggling to recalibrate. Lyra's abilities were subtle but powerful, altering energy flows, manipulating systems, and perhaps even sensing the movements of others in space. Over the next few days, the crew developed a rhythm with Lyra. They learned to anticipate her responses, and she learned to interpret their intentions. She could sense danger before it became visible, manipulate the ship's energy shield subtly, and even stabilize minor malfunctions in the engines. Every time she did, the humans' admiration for her grew. She was more than a passenger, she was a partner. At night, the ship would be quiet except for her soft harmonic tones. Camel would sit beside her pod, trying to capture the musical sequences in charts. "She's teaching us patterns," he whispered. "I think she wants us to understand her culture, her thought process. She's giving us a glimpse into an intelligence far beyond our own, and she trusts us enough to do it." Alara found herself drawn to her as well, though her connection was different. As a captain, she had led many missions, faced dangers, and made countless hard decisions. But Lyra reminded her that leadership was not just about survival. It was about compassion, empathy, and courage. Watching the girl adapt, learning from her every gesture, Alara realized that humanity's strength lay not just in technology or strategy, but in the ability to rise to the challenge of the unknown. Their growing bond, however, was not without complications. The corporate fleet, relentless and methodical, had dispatched a smaller boarding team to intercept the Artemis. Drones and remote surveillance ships tracked them with increasing precision. One evening, the sensors detected the fleet closing in. The humans prepared for evasive maneuvers, but this time, Lyra took the initiative. Her glow intensified, veins of light spreading across her arms and shoulders as she reached toward the ship's controls. The hum of energy filled the room, vibrating through every surface. The ship shivered, and the sensors reported a sudden fluctuation in energy fields surrounding the hull. The corporate fleet faltered, unable to track them accurately, as if a shadow had fallen over the Artemis. "She's shielding us," Mara breathed. "She's doing something we don't understand, but it's working." Camel nodded, almost in awe. "She's adapting in real time. This isn't instinct, it's intelligence, awareness, and empathy combined. She knows we're trying to survive, and she's helping." Alara realized something important. This was more than just a rescue mission. Humanity's first contact with an alien species was unfolding not through diplomacy or battle, but through trust, cooperation, and understanding. And in that moment, she understood why they had risked everything to protect her. The following days were filled with careful navigation, communication experiments, and moments of awe. Lyra's abilities were growing, though she seemed aware of their limits. She never overextended herself, never acted recklessly. Her tone, pulses, and glowing patterns conveyed caution, curiosity, and most of all, a desire to be understood. But the corporate fleet did not relent. They sent a series of probes, scanning for life signs, attempting to breach the ship's defenses. One probe made contact with the Artemis, and the ship shuddered violently. Systems flickered. Crew members held onto rails as alarms blared. Lyra's glow surged, pulsing in rapid sequences that harmonized with the ship's systems. The tremor ceased, and the ship stabilized. Camel, nearly in tears from relief and amazement, said, "She's not just protecting us. She's enhancing the ship, guiding us through the attacks." Alara felt a mixture of pride and determination. This proves it. Humanity can rise to the challenge. We can protect life, even when it's not our own. We can be brave, clever, and compassionate all at once. She looked at Lyra, who tilted her head, glowing softly as if acknowledging the truth in her words. As the Artemis slipped further from Veridian IX, the humans realized something profound. This was not a mission of conquest or discovery in the traditional sense. This was a mission of trust and partnership. Lyra had chosen them, and they had chosen her. Together, they were charting a new path through the stars, one in which humanity's greatest strength was not its weapons, its ships, or its technology, but its capacity for empathy and courage. Night aboard the Artemis was calm again, the stars stretching endlessly outside. Lyra hummed softly, the tones gentle and melodic, filling the cabin with a sense of peace. Camel recorded every pulse, every glow, hoping to capture even a fraction of her brilliance. Alara stood by the observation deck, thinking about the journey ahead. The corporate fleet would not give up. Other dangers in space would come. But she knew this. With Lyra, humanity had found something extraordinary, something that required care, respect, and courage. And as she watched the girl's soft glow, she felt certain that no matter what happened, humanity would rise to the occasion. The bond between Lyra and the humans grew stronger each day. It was not spoken in words, but in understanding, in shared experience, and in the quiet moments when trust was absolute. Every pulse of light, every harmonic tone, every subtle shift of energy was a conversation, a connection, and a promise. For the first time, the crew understood that survival alone was not enough. To protect life, to honor the unknown, to rise above fear and greed, that was what made humanity truly extraordinary. And Lyra, fragile yet brilliant, was the living proof of that truth. The stars outside the Artemis stretched on, indifferent and vast. But inside, humanity shone brightly, not with weapons or engines, but with courage, compassion, and the extraordinary ability to protect what was precious, even when it was beyond their understanding. And in that quiet glow, the first steps of a journey that could change the galaxy were already unfolding. The Artemis cut through the black void of space, silent except for the soft hum of its engines and the occasional chirp of its monitoring systems. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to the small ship carrying humanity's most extraordinary passenger. Inside, the tension was thick. The corporate fleet had tracked them relentlessly, their probes sending back signals that grew more precise by the hour. The humans knew that confrontation was inevitable. Captain Alara Drake stood at the observation deck, her hands gripping the railing. Her gaze was fixed on the dark expanse ahead. "They're getting closer," she said. Her voice was calm but firm. "We need to be ready for anything. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about Lyra." Lieutenant Mara, the ship's security officer, adjusted the tactical interface. "Their fleet is larger than we expected. They've deployed interceptors and boarding drones. They're trying to predict our course." Camel was crouched beside Lyra's pod, monitoring her vitals. "She's aware of them," he said. "I can see it in her tones, in her pulses. She senses them, even before our systems detect them." Lyra's soft glow intensified, veins of light spreading across her small body. The harmonic tones she emitted vibrated through the room, creating a calm yet powerful resonance. It was as if she was preparing them, warning them, or communicating something beyond words. Alara nodded. "Then we trust her. We've come this far. We won't back down now." The first attack came without warning. A series of drones materialized on the ship's sensors, moving with mechanical precision. They fired energy pulses that bounced harmlessly off the ship's shields, but the force rattled the Artemis violently. Mara and the engineering team worked frantically to stabilize the ship, but it was clear that conventional defense alone would not be enough. Lyra's glow surged. She reached out with a small hand, and the ship shivered as the energy fields around it responded to her. The drones slowed, their paths faltering as if invisible hands had intervened. Every crew member watched in awe as Lyra subtly manipulated the energy around the ship, guiding them through the assault with precision and calm. "She's controlling them," Mara whispered. "Or at least confusing them. I've never seen anything like it." Camel shook his head. "It's more than control. She's interacting with energy with the ship, with the drones. Her abilities, they're adaptive. She learns from the environment, anticipates threats, and responds faster than any AI we've ever built." Alara made a quick decision. Prepare for evasive maneuvers but follow her guidance. Trust her instincts. Over the next hours, the battle unfolded like a dance. The corporate fleet attempted to flank them, but every move they made was countered by Lyra's subtle interventions. She guided the ship through asteroid fields, using the debris as cover, and manipulated the energy shields to deflect incoming attacks. The humans began to understand that Lyra was not just helping them survive. She was teaching them a new way of thinking about space, danger, and trust. As the day passed, the humans grew more confident, but they also realized that the fleet would not relent. The corporate commanders were ruthless, willing to risk everything to capture Lyra for their own gain. The crew knew that a final confrontation was coming, one that would test their courage, ingenuity, and the strength of their bond with the alien girl. Alara called a meeting in the main chamber. "This ends soon," she said, her eyes scanning the crew. "We can't outrun them forever. We need a plan that uses everything we've learned and everything Lyra can do." Camel looked at Lyra, who tilted her head and emitted a series of harmonic tones. He interpreted the sequence as a form of assent. "She understands," he said. "She's ready to help. We just have to trust her completely." The plan was simple in theory but dangerous in execution. They would draw the corporate fleet into a narrow asteroid belt, where the natural hazards of the environment would limit the fleet's maneuverability. Lyra would guide the ship through the belt, manipulating energy fields to shield them and confuse the enemy. The humans would use their knowledge of tactics and ship systems to coordinate every move. As they entered the asteroid belt, the fleet pursued them relentlessly. Massive rocks and ice formations loomed ahead, threatening to crush the Artemis if they made a single mistake. Lyra's glow intensified, veins of light racing across her body as she emitted harmonic tones that vibrated through the ship's hull. The humans followed her guidance, trusting her instincts completely. Time seemed to stretch as they navigated the belt. The drones fired relentlessly, but every pulse was deflected, every maneuver guided by Lyra's subtle energy manipulation. The crew's hearts pounded with adrenaline and awe. They were witnessing something extraordinary, the fusion of human courage, ingenuity, and alien intelligence working as one. At the heart of the asteroid belt, the corporate fleet made a bold move. They deployed a massive energy net designed to ensnare the Artemis and capture Lyra. The net expanded rapidly, threatening to envelop the ship. The humans braced for impact, but Lyra responded instantly. Her glow flared, filling the room with blinding light. The energy net quivered, then tore apart as if it had never existed. "She did it," Mara whispered, her voice trembling with disbelief. "She destroyed it or neutralized it somehow." Camel nodded, tears in his eyes. "Not destroyed, she adapted to it. She's learning from every threat, finding solutions in real time. She's teaching us what it means to rise above danger." Alara felt a surge of pride and determination. "Then we finish this. Follow her lead, everyone. This is our moment." With Lyra's guidance, the Artemis weaved through the asteroid belt with unparalleled precision. The corporate fleet struggled to keep up, their ships colliding with rocks or veering off course. Every pulse, every glow from Lyra, every coordinated maneuver from the humans pushed them closer to freedom. Finally, they reached a narrow canyon of asteroids that led to open space. Lyra's glow dimmed slightly, signaling that the most dangerous part was over. The humans held their breath, scanning the sensors. The fleet was fractured, their coordination broken, and the Artemis emerged unscathed. For the first time in days, the crew allowed themselves to relax. Lyra hummed softly, the tones gentle and melodic, filling the cabin with a sense of peace and triumph. Camel reached out and touched her hand. "You saved us all," he said, voice thick with emotion. "You trusted us and we trusted you, and together we did it." Alara stood at the observation deck, watching the stars stretch ahead. "This proves something important," she said quietly. "Humanity can rise to the challenge. We can protect life, even when it's not our own. We can be brave, clever, and compassionate all at once." She looked at Lyra, whose soft glow seemed to respond in kind, acknowledging the truth of her words. In the days that followed, the Artemis continued its journey, putting as much distance as possible between themselves and the corporate fleet. Lyra's abilities became more refined, more nuanced. She could sense threats before they appeared, manipulate energy fields with subtle precision, and even communicate ideas through harmonic patterns that the humans gradually began to understand. Camel recorded every pulse, every glow, every harmonic tone. He realized that Lyra was not just a survivor. She was a teacher, a guide, and a bridge between species. Through her, humanity glimpsed a new way of understanding the universe, one where intelligence, empathy, and courage were more powerful than weapons or dominance. Alara knew that their journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers and challenges. But with Lyra, humanity had found something extraordinary, something that required care, respect, and courage. And she understood, as did the crew, that protecting her was not just an act of survival. It was a testament to what humanity could be at its best. At night, the crew would sit quietly in the cabin, listening to Lyra's soft harmonic tones, watching her glow gently pulse. In those moments, they felt a profound connection, not just with her, but with the universe itself. The vastness of space seemed less intimidating when they faced it together, guided by trust, empathy, and the extraordinary bond they shared with an alien child. Alara often found herself at the observation deck, reflecting on how far they had come. Humanity had faced countless dangers, from deadly planets to rogue asteroids, from hostile species to technological disasters. Yet nothing had tested them like protecting Lyra. She realized that this mission, more than any other, had revealed humanity's true potential. To rise above fear, to act with courage, to protect life, and to embrace the unknown with compassion. One evening, as the Artemis sailed past a distant nebula, Lyra's glow brightened suddenly. She reached out a hand, and a soft pulse resonated through the ship. The crew felt it in their bones, a subtle yet powerful connection that went beyond understanding. Camel translated it as best he could, a message of gratitude, trust, and hope. Alara smiled. "We're with you, Lyra, always." The stars outside stretched endlessly, indifferent and eternal, but inside the Artemis humanity shone brightly. Not with weapons or engines, but with courage, ingenuity, and the extraordinary ability to protect what was precious, even when it was beyond their understanding. Lyra, fragile yet brilliant, had shown them the meaning of trust and partnership. And in that quiet glow, the first steps of a journey that could change the galaxy were already unfolding. Humanity had risked everything, and in doing so they had proven something timeless, that when faced with the unknown, humans could rise above fear, act with compassion, and embrace challenges with courage. They were not just survivors. They were guardians, protectors, and pioneers. And as long as Lyra's soft glow illuminated their path, the universe would know that humanity was capable of greatness, extraordinary, unwavering, and brilliant in the face of anything. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, far beyond the reach of those who sought to control or exploit life, a small alien girl pulsed with light, humming a song that resonated with hope. Humanity had not only saved her, they had proven themselves worthy of the stars. The journey ahead was uncertain, full of unknown challenges and mysteries yet to be discovered. But the bond they shared with Lyra, forged in trust, courage, and compassion, would guide them. Together, they would navigate the vast expanse, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. For in protecting life, in rising to the challenge of the unknown, humanity had found its greatest strength, and it shone brighter than any star.